Okay, so welcome everyone to this wonderful Chevening discussion session. And today I am here with Layo Ladepo and Sarah Egbo. My name is Bolanle Solomon Adewusi, for those that don't know me. So I am the lead coach at the Scholarship Wiz. So what do we do at the Scholarship Wiz? Basically, the Scholarship Wiz, I would say, is like a scholarship coaching organization where we actually teach prospective graduate students who actually have plans to study abroad or to take on a graduate program. We teach them how to apply for scholarships. But basically, the highlight is scholarship for us. So we teach you different ways, different sources to explore and how to find the right scholarship that you're eligible for. So we actually organize sessions like this on scholarships, on how to gain the right scholarships, on the processes to take, and also making you understand what are the different challenges you might face in the process and actually how to navigate those. So basically, I, as the lead coach, I would break down the process so that it's easier for you to navigate and eventually be able to submit quality scholarship applications. So, well, I know like this is scholarship season, if you're aware, Chevening, Commonwealth, and a lot of other top scholarships. So I reached out to Layo and Sarah about having this session. And here we are today to discuss the Chevening Scholarship. What are the things people need to know? What are the myths? Like talk about it so that we can gain insights for especially for prospective Chevening scholars who plan to apply for Chevening Scholarship this year, maybe next year, or if you have family or friends who plan to apply for scholarship in the future, this is a great session that will provide you all that you need to know. So I would start by introducing, sorry about my voice, I'm just recovering from cold, but yeah, I'm a lot better than how I was like a few weeks or some days ago. So yeah, it's getting better. Okay, so I just want to I'll start by introducing Layo. So Olufemi Layo Ladepo is a graduate of architecture from the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. She's currently the Chevening program officer for the Chevening Awards. She completed a master's degree in 2001 and have since worked in Abuja. She began in the design and construction industry and worked as an architect for a construction firm for 3 years, after which she worked with a renovation company as project architect until she joined the British High Commission in April of 2006. At the British High Commission, she worked with the UKVI, that is the UK, United Kingdom Visas and Immigrations, for 13 years. And out of those, she was a team manager of a team for 7 years. In July of 2019, she joined the Chevening Network, where she has had the privilege of managing the selection process annually. The most rewarding experience so far for her has been the opportunity to profile ideas on the best possible engagement strategies for the Chevening alumni. The Chevening portfolio is extensive and involves setting annual goals to improve several selection processes, marketing processes, alumni engagement, and partnership opportunities. So let's welcome Olufemi Layo Ladepo. Please drop a message for her in the chat just to say welcome. Definitely, this shows that we're getting like information from like the first-hand source. You're hearing about the Chevening Scholarship, whatever discussion we'll be having today is definitely from like the first-hand source. It's not like from one point to another like direct source. So yes, welcome, Olufemi Layo Ladepo. Thank you so much for joining us today. And
thank you.
You're welcome. So I'll be moving on to introduce Sarah. Welcome, Sarah, as well. So Sarah is the 2018 Chevening Alumna. She's a gender and technology expert who adopts an intersectional approach at the core of education, technology, youth, community service, gender, and development. She's currently the policy lead at Gender Mobile Initiative and the Sexual and Reproductive Health and Rights lead at the Commonwealth Youth Gender and Equality Network, that is the CYGEN. In 2017, Sarah lobbied government officials, secondary school staff, and community leaders to execute the Queen Amina initiative aimed at addressing gender inequality in digital access, an effort that culminated in the provision of computer facilities for secondary schools and training of over 500 students and staff at an all-girls school in Zamfara State, Nigeria. This feat earned her a state award for the best youth corps member under the National Youth Service Corps scheme. Ooh, congratulations, Sarah. I know this was a while back, but yeah, well done. She was also selected as the youth representative on the panel of the Nigeria Youth Future Fund launched by the Ford Foundation and MacArthur Foundation in September 2021. Sarah Egbo holds a first class in information resource management from Babcock University, Ogun State, Nigeria, and a master's degree in gender and development from the Institute of Development Studies and University of Success, Brighton, United Kingdom. She's also 2018/2019 alumna of United Kingdom of the British Chevening Scholarship, a master's degree scholarship awarded to social change makers with an excellent academic performance. Awesome, great profile, Layo and Sarah. We have like great hands here, and I'm ready to learn as well. So yes, so if you've joined us, welcome. So if you want to drop a message in the chat for Sarah and Layo to welcome them to this session, and as before we dive in, so welcome Sarah, welcome Layo. And yeah, do you have anything to say, Layo? Maybe I'll pass it over to you. Any other thing to add to your profile? Or just like a welcome message, whatever it is, you're okay. You're good.
I just thank you for having me here. That's all, really. Okay. Nothing to add to my biography. Thanks.
Awesome. And thank you so much for accepting to join us here. Definitely. I know it's going to be worth it. So I have to say, I should thank you. Thank you for joining. And Sarah, do you have any comments, anything to add to your biography?
No, you've said it all. Thank you so much for having me here, and thanks to everyone who has joined in. I look forward to engaging with you all in the course of the webinar. So glad to be here. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. So yeah, just a quick one before we start. I would appreciate if everyone's microphone is on mute, unless you have like, and for questions, we won't be taking questions now. If you have any question, please drop it in the chat. We'll go through all the chats, and then if you have any question that you can drop in the chat, when we are done, if we have enough time, we will take questions as well. So please just drop your questions in the chat, and then we'll go to the chat when we're done, and we would take questions one after the other. And looking forward to Layo and Sarah responding to those questions. So please, as much as possible, let's keep our microphone on mute. I will be on mute as well when they responding to questions. So unless you are Layo or Sarah, I would appreciate if your microphone is on mute, so that to avoid distractions, and also like and to avoid any form of disturbance for this session. So yeah, I've introduced myself, I've introduced Layo. So let's get into I've introduced Sarah as well. So let's get into the questions of the day. And yeah, so bringing it on, I've always wanted to know so much about Chevening scholarships. I've known like in the past, I've actually had to like go in to look at what the application process is, which is kind of straightforward for me. And yeah, I know there are a couple of essays, maybe about 4 essays that scholarship applicants need to respond to and probably like fill as part of the application process. So I will start by asking you, Sarah, I know like you already told us the year you won the scholarship, which was 2018, and you resumed in 2019, I believe, right? Sarah?
Pardon me, I was muted.
Okay, you're muted.
Yeah, I began the scholarship formally in 2018. I had applied in 2017, and then through 2017, from 2017 through 2018, by August 2018, I was confirmed. By July, August 2018, I was confirmed for the scholarship, and then I began studies by September of the year 2018.
Awesome. So I'm curious, how did you hear about the scholarship? I know back then, like, yeah, there was already the social media presence. Like now, like everybody knows about Chevening Scholarship, kind of, but I'm curious, how did you hear about the Chevening Scholarship back then?
Yeah. Interestingly, I didn't hear about the Chevening Scholarship on social media or online. It was by word of mouth, specifically through a family friend who had gone through the process. He's also a Chevening alumnus, and he had gone through the Chevening Scholarship as well. And he just felt like it's a good thing for me to try out. Seeing that I was eligible for the scholarship, I was a young leader, and I'm someone that was driven to make change. So he identified it as a scholarship that would fit my passion, and that's how I got to know about the scholarship. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. Oh, a young leader. So by young leader, what do you mean?
A leader who is young, I would say.
You were already driving some kind of projects, like display your leadership skills in some projects, basically, right?
Yes, exactly.
Awesome.
Correct.
Thank you for sharing. Okay, yeah. So a question for you, Layo. Looking at the Chevening application process, I know, like for me back then, I remember I tried to apply for Chevening Scholarship and I had to print out the documents. Then it wasn't online, so I know a lot of has changed, like in the past years. So I would like to know how has the changes in the application process evolved over the years regarding the submission of references, probably English tests, essay questions, and other required documents.
Okay, thank you very much, Bolande. So as you said, initially, the Chevening application started off as paper applications and you had to print them out. But I mean, over the last at least 4 years that I've been, in this program, it's all been online. And so, I mean, that's a great improvement, really. And then for English language, I remember when I joined the Chevening program in 2019, I remember that it was a requirement to have English language submitted. It was, in fact, compulsory. If you didn't have English language, you wouldn't be able to apply for the award. But now, especially after COVID, the requirement was lifted. And so now there's no need to submit English language. Then for transcripts and reference letters, um, people feel that while they are applying, while they are completing the forms, that they have to have everything. It is good if you have your transcript, but we know how things are in Nigeria. You might have completed your degree, but then your transcript is not ready due to one thing or the other, especially with the ASU strike, that we've had for almost 8 months now, so we would be a bit flexible and allow you to submit your transcript and other documents before interview stage if you are shortlisted for interview. So as long as you can identify that you have a transcript or list your referees in your application form, that's what we really need to see for now. You just have to concentrate on your essays. Then lastly, for courses, if you've selected your 3 courses in your application form and you feel that at some point you want to change those courses, maybe, or your universities, because you haven't heard back from the universities you applied to, you also have flexibility to be able to bring a new course or a new university to the interview if you are shortlisted for interview. The only thing is that you would have to convince the panel why you are making the change. So you have at least up until the interview stage. And usually, globally, even in Nigeria, our interviews are between March and May every year. So I would say there's a bit more flexibility now than there used to be. Things are not like set in stone, but it's good to start the process on time because if you do not do that, you might get stuck at some point. Yes, so I would say that those are a few of the changes over the years. Thank you.
Wow, thank you for sharing. Did you hear that? Like a while back, I tried to apply for Chevening Scholarship. I shared this with Layo as well, and then I had to print out it was manual, basically. You have to print it out, fill it, and then you drop it at the British High Commission or so. Like you put everything, your transcript, everything must be included before you submit. But now it's more flexible. A lot of things have changed. You don't have to have your transcript at the point of submission. You can submit your recommendation letter at a later date. You just need to watch out for all of these dates on the Chevening application. So it's more flexible, and I think it's like a good thing to consider, especially if you're applying from Nigeria. You don't have your transcript yet. SANU, ASU, NASU, all of them were on strike some months ago. And well, now I think everything is being resolved, and then they're coming back. And if you're out from any other country outside of Nigeria, then you are, or if you already have your transcript, then yeah, it's good to consider applying because it's still flexible. And I know what most people do experience with recommendation letters. Your referees probably not available, you're trying to reach them, they're not able to meet the deadline. So you have like enough time to be able to get your recommendation letters in before the deadline for recommendation, which is not at the time of the Chevening application deadline. So yeah, I think that is awesome. So if I may ask, Layo, when is the deadline for this year's Chevening scholarship application?
Oh, that's with the 1st of November. The portal closes on the 1st of November.
Okay, awesome. So you heard that. So if you plan to apply, 1st of November is the date. So you need to take note of that. It's really pretty much close, but I would say you still have some time. So take note of that date and start getting all of your documents. Well, you do not need all the documents like she stated, but start working on your application, making sure you submit the actual application itself before the deadline, and then the required documents can come in later. Thank you so much, Layo, for sharing. Okay, back to you, Sarah. So why did you apply for the Chevening Scholarship? You're on mute, okay.
Okay, hi, can you hear me now? Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. So why I had applied for the Chevening Scholarship, I think I've already touched a bit on this on my first response, but I'll still speak to that. So my reason for applying to the scholarship was not because I'd wanted to study overseas and have a body cover my tuition fees. That was more like a secondary reason. The primary reason for that was because I had done my due diligence on Chevening, and I saw that beyond covering for your tuition and other expenses such as your flight fares, your stipend, to live there, to be able to take care of yourself, and some other advantages. And beyond financial advantages, there was the bigger picture about being part of the network of leaders. Because I really took my time to go through people who had gone through the Chevening Scholarship, and I noticed that most of them had this factor in common where wherever they weren't quiet. They had this aura about them, this leadership that just was just flowing and showing. Like if you see anyone doing great work, out of 10 people in a room or in a place or in a location, at least one will be a Chevening alumni or a Chevening scholar. That's what we usually call like the Chevening effect, the Chevening factor, because it's a scholarship body that doesn't just facilitate your education while in the UK, but more importantly, it has this aspect of it that enables you to have your capacity built as a leader whilst undergoing studies in the UK. So that was what I was particularly looking for. I wasn't just looking for a scholarship body that would fund my fees. That was more secondary. I was looking out more for a body that would really refine my abilities as a leader, and also connect me with a pool of other leaders, whether they be young, old, whether they're from Nigeria, whether they're from other parts of the country, Asia, the Philippines, anywhere where we can always be united, where we can always see how we would make change in our society, whether at the local level, whether at the global level. That was my primary reason for applying to Chevening.
Wow, that's interesting. Did you hear that? Like, apart from getting the scholarship, which is fully funded, like covers everything, she also considered the networking, like expanding her network, not just within Nigeria or Africa, but across the world, like the entire globe. So yeah, that is awesome. So those are the things I think. I know like a lot of us want to apply for scholarship as far as it covers my entire bill, my fees. I'm not bothered. That's all I need. But there are some other things that come with just applying for scholarship, like expanding your network. I know it's kind of underrated, I would say. Some people just, oh, I don't need to have that broad network. I'm fine. I should be on my own. If you know what network has done for someone like me, like my entire network, from my master's degree to doing a PhD, and then even finding myself in Canada, which that is where I am right now. I would still say my network back in from 10 years ago while I was doing my master's degree has really helped me here in Canada, just because I built that relationship. I reached out to people, I added them on LinkedIn. And then when I moved to Canada, I went through all of their pages, like who had from my previous universities, like previous universities I've attended or schools. I want to know the people from those universities that build network with that are in Canada. And then I started reaching out to them like, I'm not in Canada. What are the things here? What do I need to do? And I would like the information I received from my network. Trust me, I can't even start explaining. That's like, I'm going to have another session on that maybe later on to talk about how important it is to build a network and to expand your network over the years, because eventually it pays off. So thank you so much for that, Sarah. I'm happy that you considered that at a very young age, knowing that building and expanding your network is very important. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to move on to back to Layo. So Layo, I just want to know, is it Chevening Scholarship, applying for Chevening Scholarship, is it grade specific? That is, do applicants need to have a specific grade to apply? And if not, what makes an applicant stand out? If grade is not like a thing for Chevening, what makes an applicant stand out?
Okay, thank you. So most people here have already visited the website, but even if they haven't, you would see that there is no typical Chevening scholar. And what that means is that anyone can apply as long as they're eligible to apply for the scholarship. And with regards to the grades, the website says that it is for anyone who has an undergraduate degree, and their degree should be equivalent to typically at least a 2-1, or as long as equivalent in the UK. So what it means is basically is that if you can gain admission into a school in the UK with your degree, whether it's a first class, whether it's a 2-1 or a 2-2, then that means that you are strong enough to be awarded with the scholarship. So it's the university that actually determines if you're strong enough, apart from your essays. So we wouldn't want people who do not have a first class or a 2-1 to be discouraged, because sometimes your experience or your experiences will back up maybe any shortcomings that you might have had when you completed your degree in the first place. So all of them work together, to build your skills so that you are able to apply for the scholarship without hesitating. As long as you're able to apply and get a unconditional offer from a university in the UK, then please go ahead and apply.
So you heard from the source, you don't need to have a first class or a 2-1. I know for sure most scholarships, they're actually grade specific. Not all, but most. So if you find a scholarship like Chevening that would allow you to apply irrespective of your grade, I would say consider it. And yes, like in terms of the applicants, like what makes an applicant to
Your sound has gone off. It went off briefly.
can you hear me
Just
now?
briefly. Yes.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so I'm back. Okay, yeah, so is it
And I
back
also
now?
I just wanted to add to what I said earlier on. Sometimes the reason why the request for a very high grade is stated there is because of how vigorous the master's program is in the UK. It's really, really demanding. So they would expect that for someone who is like a first class or 2-1 means that you're a strong candidate already. But you know how things work out in our universities. You might just have missed the 2-1 by just point something. So that does not mean that you're not strong enough, you know. So that is why we encourage everyone to apply. But the main reason is that so that you would be able to cope with the system in the UK, which is totally different from the way things are done in Nigeria.
Awesome. Wow, thank you for sharing. So basically, if you've missed like 2-1, I actually know, like for real, like I know a 2-2 graduate that actually applied for Chevening and was called for the interview because I essay was good. In fact, when I saw the work she's done and she told me she was going to apply for Chevening, I said, please go ahead. And she did. And she applied and she was called for interview. So if it was about the 2-2, they wouldn't have even called her for an interview. So for her to have applied, I'm not sure. I don't think it was even a strong 2-2. So the liar is even still talking about strong 2-2, like you missed 2-1 by a point. I think she must have been in the 2 points, and she applied for Chevening Scholarship and she got an interview because she's done like just like adding to what Sarah said about being a young leader, displaying her leadership skills in some projects. She had done that. And then when she told me, I said, I think Chevening is a good one to consider. And she applied and she was invited for the interview. So don't be discouraged. Don't think, oh, scholarships are only for first class and 2-1 students. No, if you actually graduated with any other grade and you have some other qualifications that would make you stand out in terms of maybe your work experience, other things you've done, consider applying for the Chevening Scholarship. It's one of those scholarships that I always tell people when they say, oh, my grade, I'm like, maybe you should consider Chevening Scholarship for it, because I know it's not as grade specific as other scholarships. And of course, not all scholarships are grade specific. So please take note of that. Thank you so much, Layo. So yeah, so our next question. So I would say, I think this is for Layo. So what specific does Chevening provide that other scholarships don't provide?
Okay, so the thing is, obviously, I would not know exactly what other scholarships are looking for, but I know for Chevening there's the eligibility criteria, and once you're able to meet the eligibility criteria, then you'll be able to move on to the next stage. Another thing, I guess, would be the prestige, right, Sarah? The prestige of the scholarship. So because of the competitiveness of the scholarship and how tough it is to get the scholarship, um, there is a certain level at which you would be once you have been awarded with the scholarship, because in your mind, or in your mindset, you already know that you are one of the best, because unless you are one of the best, you would not be able to make it. So that is one of the reasons, why I would say that the specifics for Chevening would be the eligibility criteria, and then as well as the prestige of the scholarship. I don't know if you want the eligibility criteria is on the website. I mean, it's straightforward. Above 18, should have an undergraduate degree, and then we already explained about grade specific just now, and then whether you're able to get an unconditional offer from any of the 3 universities that you've listed in your application, and then the work experience, which is a minimum of 2 years. So, I mean, all of that is on the website, as well as not having had some funding from the UK government prior to applying for the Chevening Scholarship. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. So basically, like I already listed, like these are the things that the Chevening Scholarship provides that other scholarships, well, she can't be so specific about what other scholarships provide. But
You're
yeah,
the
so
guru. You're the guru.
yeah, so basically, I know like for sure, like some other scholarship, like she said, that you might need to have your transcripts and all of those other things, or your required documents. And some scholarships, they don't need you to have like an unconditional offer, but Chevening needs you to have that. So you need to like start taking the right steps now if you plan to apply for Chevening Scholarship before 1st of November. I know like for sure, like some schools in the UK, their application process are definitely faster than compared to other countries. Like if you're applying to the US, I'll tell you, don't expect to get like a feedback until like 2 months time or maybe 3 months time. But if you're applying to schools in the UK, the turnaround time could be really high. You could get back like your response in like 2 weeks, or even 3 weeks. So I did my master's in the UK. So if you're wondering how come I know all of these things, and I remember back then I applied to a number of universities before I decided on whether I should go to this university or this university. Then I settled for the University of Manchester, where I did my master's program. So if you're thinking of applying to any of these schools, I would say in the UK, start looking out now. And then a question, Layo, are there specific universities they need to apply to, or they could just apply to any university in the UK?
So almost all the universities in the UK, but just need to go on the website and make sure it is a Chevening eligible course. So you go on the course finder, and then if you've chosen a university, then you search, or a course, and you search, and then it will show you if it is available or not. But most of the universities in the UK are eligible for the award.
Awesome, good to know. Thank you for sharing. So you read that most, so you just need to make sure that your program is actually eligible for Chevening. So go and look out for that. And sometimes I would say if you can't, sometimes you might not find your specific program, because sometimes there are ways they write these things that it makes you think like, oh, if it's not computer science, it's not computer science. If it's not nutrition, it's not nutrition. If it's not, but sometimes it could be like a problem in computing, but that is impacting other fields. It's just you having to think outside the box here now to actually see how you can fit in your program, your background into what Chevening actually needs. I know this is broad, this is different, but you can do it. Just look for like a global issue around your program and see if it fits into what Chevening is asking for. Like computing is applicable. I'm a computer scientist, so computing is applicable in any field. So if you wake me up today and say, oh, they are looking for scholarship in agriculture, trust me, I'll look for that computing part that is missing in agriculture and see how I can actually tailor my application towards that. Well, that's me, but just think outside the box to fit into this, even though your program might not be specifically called out on the Chevening website. And Layo, what's the website? For those that don't know, people are always scared of, oh, it's scam and all of these. They don't know which is real online. So if you can share the Chevening website with us, that would be
So
good.
it's just chevening.org, and then it takes you to the rest of all the other tabs. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah,
Even if you
chevening.org.
Google it will take you straight to it, basically. I think because
Okay.
it's well searched for by everyone. So
Oh, thank you,
yeah,
Sarah,
and
for
thank you,
sharing.
Sarah, for putting that there.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you.
So yeah, that's it, chevening.org. Visit chevening.org and you have all the information. Don't rush the process. Like you just want to apply, read line by line, read the instructions, and you get all of this information that Layo has been talking about on the website. They are there and you'll find them there. So just read through the instructions, read line by line to understand what the Chevening Scholarship actually offers. Thank you so much for that. So over to Sarah. Okay, yeah. So Sarah, I know I already asked you why you applied for the Chevening Scholarship, but I'd like to know, how would you rate the application process for Chevening compared to other scholarships? Would you say it's tedious or did you find it easy? How would you rate that?
Okay, so in terms of scholarship applications, Chevening wasn't the only application that I did. I'd applied to about 4 other scholarships before I'd applied to Chevening, and yeah, based on my engagement with those other scholarship bodies, I think Chevening's was pretty easy compared to the other scholarships. Reason being that there were some that required some form of print submission, like maybe you write an essay and then you have to submit it to a particular office, especially the one that's based here in Nigeria. You have to submit it to a particular office, like you post it to them or you go there in person to the office. which is one task already. Like drafting your application is one thing on paper, and then having to post it or take it there is another. But on the for Chevening, everything was done online. I just had to like access the Chevening website, which I dropped the address in the chat box, and then I opened my account, and
Sarah, are you there? You've gone off. We can't hear you.
Might
So I
be
think
internet.
okay,
She's
yeah.
come back.
There's
She's
a
come
glitch.
back.
Yeah, you're back. Yeah.
apologies for my connection. So yeah, I just applied, and then the process was, yes, there are lots of questions to answer on the Chevening portal, but then that's understandable given the fact that they really want to get to know you, and they want to know more about your work history, your academic history, and other requirements, in addition to the 4 essays which are part of like a very crucial part of the applications. But overall, it was quite easy from that. That's applying from the start. What I would say is that flowing from the applications, yes, there's a process where you get to learn. I speak more to that, where you get to wait for feedback on interview, and then after interview, if you succeed past that phase, you get to have a conditional offer, and then there's this back and forth, which will take time. It will actually take time, and you just have to persevere through the process. That's the name of the game, perseverance. But in terms of the experience overall, it wasn't as tedious as compared to other scholarship applications that I've undertaken. Yeah.
Awesome. Good to know that. Basically, like, you just get ready to fill everything online and you're good to go. You don't have to print out some things. Trust me, like I said, years back, most scholarships back then, even I remember my sister applied for Commonwealth in 2018 and she had to print out everything. She had to submit at the Federal Scholarship Board and all of that. This is Commonwealth, but I don't know if it's online now. But thank goodness she got it, and she went to the UK also, like on the Commonwealth Scholarship. But I remember back then it was like some back and forth with some paper things she had to print out, and then getting in the application manual. I would call it manual because it's paper, but now it's online. I mean, Chevening is online. You just need to go online in your bedroom and fill out the application. Your education history, your academic history here, and then your work experience. Like, just fill it in. It's you. You're not filling out for someone else. So I believe it's pretty much going to be easy compared to other applications. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So just to add to that, aside the process being easy, like it's super easy to understand. Like when you go on the portal, like it's so, for me, when I first accessed the application, it was quite clear. If you're not even certain of the way to navigate on the portal, you could always go to the frequently asked questions section on the Chevening website. You could just type FAQs Chevening and then it pops up. And then every imaginable question you could think of is there for you to help you out. So it's not just the online portal is not just somewhere that is easy to access, but I see that they also have like built a very strong support system over it, so that in case you're having any issues navigating the portal or having issues along the experience of applying, you could always go through those FAQs. And even at the bottom of the FAQ, you get to see an email which you can send your inquiries to a member of the team to have it looked into, and then they respond to you. So yeah, that's what I just wanted to add.
Wow, that's awesome. So easy peasy. You have like the FAQs on the website, everything you need to know about the Chevening Scholarship, and even an email that you can reach out to if you have further questions, if you have concerns, if you need help. So for me, I would say that's pretty much straightforward. You don't need to walk into someone's office. You don't need to think of how you move from one point to another to ask questions, or maybe call in and then no one ever picks up. You just need to send an email and you get like a response back, or you have like almost all the information online. That would actually serve as a guide for you. So yeah, I'll call that easy peasy because trust me, I've done some applications in the past that were actually tedious. So comparing those two, Chevening Scholarship, I would say this is like so easy. You just need to like get ready to do the application and you're good to go. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing. Over to Layo. Layo, what exactly does the Chevening Scholarship cover? I think you mentioned that briefly, but if you can just cover, state like all everything it covers. I know they can find this on the website as well, but if you can just mention some of the things that the application, the scholarship itself covers. Thank you.
So first and foremost, it covers the tuition fee. So it covers everything except for people who are going on an MBA where there's a cap of £22,000. So that cap means that Chevening will fund up to £22,000 and then you would have to pay the extra on top if you have to pay the extra on top. And then it also covers your ticket to the UK as well as your monthly stipend, which would help you to pay for your accommodation as well as food. And then, well, I mean, for those who like to shop, if they can save some money, or I would even say that if you can save some money, it's better to bring that money back home instead of spending it all on shopping and coming back to nothing initially. And then it also covers exclusive networking events. And then there's some key events that every Chevening scholar has to attend. The orientation ceremony when they get to the UK, so that's covered. And then there's the farewell event, which is their leaving event, as well as all the other exclusive networking events. And those are all covered by the scholarship. So I think that's all. During the COVID year, the COVID vaccinations and all of those things were covered also. So I mean, in even in the event of a pandemic, Chevening still considers, the scholars and what they will be going through, and still sees how to make life a little bit easier for the scholars, just so that they would be able to spend enough time and focus on their studies, because that's the major reason why they're giving this stipend, so that they don't have to go and work like normal paying students. That's some of the advantages of the scholarship. You just go, you face your work. If you want to do volunteering activities on the side, you can. But having to go and work to earn a living, you don't need to do that because it's been covered. So I think that's really all that the scholarship covers. And sometimes, even if, let's say, you have an emergency, you lose if a family member or something, they're able to pay for your ticket to go back home, bury your family member and come back, things like that, things that are really exceptional. They cover those kind of costs as well.
Wow, that is fantastic. Because I know that for sure, like as a graduate student, one thing you don't need is distraction, especially as an international student coming from a different country, maybe to the UK. Well, trust me, I did I did my master's in the UK. I did my undergraduate program in Nigeria. So if you want to talk about the experience here, I understand it. When I landed in the UK, the last thing I needed was a distraction because it was totally different. I know people would tell you like it's so easy to study abroad. Don't believe it, it's a myth. I will tell you that because or maybe it was my program, but I actually knew other people in other programs. They were just like me in the business school, and it was super busy for all of us. The assignments, the new system. Talk about you try not to plagiarize. Like it is, but back home, you just someone has done assignment, you copy it, all of you submit the same thing. You can't do that in the UK. No, you can't. You have to write your own work, do your own work, not to talk of your project. That is going to be like the originality needs to be like 80% or 90%. So trust me, you don't need any sort of distraction. I'm not saying you should not work. I don't know, maybe a question for Lion. So as a Chevening scholar, are you allowed to still work in the UK if you want to?
You can if you want to. I mean, it's just if you want to add, some extra finances to your pocket, you can. Nobody is going to stop you. But I mean, the whole essence of the scholarship is so that you're not distracted by, all of those other extra things.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. I know like I had two PTDF Petroleum Trust Development Fund scholarship, scholars back then in my class, and two of them, they didn't work because they already had everything. Like they were paid stipends as well, return flight ticket and everything. So they were just so focused, and they were my friends, and we all like basically our eyes was on the bag, like on the goal. And eventually we got it, like all distinction, the three of us, just because there was no distraction. I'm not saying don't work, and I still know people that worked by the side and still got distinction. It's just all about time management, knowing when to cut, like know your limits and when to say no. And as a student, you can't even work for more than 20 hours in the UK. So, and I think it's still applicable to now. So you don't need the extra stress, just now to manage your time, make sure your classes don't actually clash with your work time. You work when you're not in class, and all of this, making sure you attend class is very important. And also, like, if you're a scholar, I would say you have everything. I know the stipend might not sound like is a lot. Like when I was doing my PhD in the US, I was paid stipend. Back then, I think it was about 1,900 USD. Of course, for a student compared to someone that's actually doing the full-time work, that was not so much, but it was enough for me. I could still get my paid for my accommodation. I was still able to pay for my living expenses, my bills, get some warm clothes and clothing and all of that. So it's always enough. It won't seem like a lot, but trust me, if you manage it so well, it's more than enough. And you can, I think I was still even able to save because I was not doing like the extras, no luxury life. The luxury life will come after your study. So just be patient through the process. It's a master's program. It's 1 year. Come on. It will come and it will go like so fast. Not to talk of a PhD then that was almost about 5 years. So trust me, the stipend is always enough. Talking from my own experience, and I'm sure Sarah too. Sarah, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, you've touched on quite a lot of things. What I would just add is, yeah, it's easy to get there. From my own experience as well, it's easy to get there, and then you are swayed with the how do I put it now? Yeah, you're enticed to work as well to gain additional funds, particularly if you're coming from a developing country like Nigeria, where you want to get money so that you could send back to people back home, or have like more money for your upkeep or one thing or the other. But like I would say, and I would agree with what you and Layo have said, that it's good to be focused on why you're there in the first place. It doesn't make sense for you to get all the way to the UK, and you've been entrusted with this responsibility to go and study in the UK, right? They trust you. The Chevening Scholarship Body, they eventually award you a unconditional offer of the scholarship. That means they trust you so much to have given you that award to come and study in the UK. So it's not good, it's not proper when you get to the UK and your attention shifts from the studies that you're supposed to undergo into finding means to work, and then you lose focus of why you were there in the first place. So yeah, there's a need to strike a balance. Ideally, the stipend is appropriate, like they've calculated it in a way that it covers for your accommodation, for your feeding, if you even want to do travel, if you want to do any other thing. And the good thing about the UK is that they have a lot of student benefits and student discounts. So somewhere that's ordinarily a person that is a non-student would go from point A to B for about, let's say, £10. For a student, you will get it for like £5 or even less. So that's all those discounts and benefits further even gives you an advantage to have your stipend spent wisely. So it's as a Chevening scholar, it's possible for you to be in the UK without having to do extra work. With your stipend will take care of it. It's just up to you to manage the funds well. But if you want to work, that's fine and good. But I would advise that persons would like stick to the work limits that is stated on the PRP, that's the residence, on the visa and resident permit, instead of having to work overtime, and then that leads to issues with the home office in the long term. But yeah. That's my addition to it.
Thank you. Yeah.
One last addition. So sometimes some of the scholars wait till after they've completed their dissertation, and then they work for a few months. So I mean, it's flexible in that way, right, Sarah?
Yeah. I actually did that. So I didn't work during studies because yeah, I did some volunteering, but I didn't work during study. So it was after my course officially ended that I started working part-time. Yeah, until I left, up until
Until
I
your
left.
visa expires, yes, so you can do
Exactly.
that.
So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Like I said, scholarship is basically like set of investors investing in you and you want to make them proud. So imagine your company, investors are investing in that company. At the end of the day, you want to do more so you can get more investment or get more people to invest in your company. So that's the same way scholarship is. You want to actually make the scholarship board proud after everything because they are investing in you. So if someone is investing in me, I'll put all my best, trust me. Yeah, so next question. I think this, well, for maybe Sarah can go first, but I just want to know, like, and also for the audience here, what advice do you have for this year's applicants regarding the essays or the applications? So maybe we can start with Sarah and then Layo if you have like some information to add. So just like, what advice do you have for this year's applicants regarding the essays or the application?
Okay. So regarding advice, I understand that the audience we have here, some of them might be first-time applicants, some might be maybe second or third time. This essentially what I mean is that this might not be their first time applying for Chevening, and that's totally fine. But what I'm going to say regarding the essays, I think it's best I just give like a brief overview of what the essays are, just in case there are some persons who don't really understand the application essays and what they supposed to do on them. Essentially, Chevening application requires you to write 4 essays, right? And the 4 essays are leadership essay. The second is networking or relationship building essay. The third one is the career plan essay, and the fourth one is studying the UK essay. I just mentioned this 4 days. I'm not mentioning them in the order which they appear. So for what they should consider for these essays, in line with my explanation, the leadership essay is essentially an essay where you get to tell your story, and that's the first point I'm going to make. When you're turning in when you're drafting, when you're preparing your Chevening application, don't just write as if you're writing a formal letter to a board or you're writing in a CV format. No, it should instead be presented in a story format. I want to get to know you as a prospective candidate. I want to get to know your story. I want to get to know your background. Who are you? What have you done? What kind of impact have you made in your community? And how did you go about it? This is what the leadership essay is essentially about, letting me know in 500 words. Yes, it's not a lot of words to capture your story, but then just important parts of your story that you feel will appeal to the audience or to the board that you're writing to. And another thing in line with your essays with this application is that you have to, there's a rule of thumb when you do these applications. So for me and for other scholars, for people that have been through the process, we can attest to 2 approaches we employ when we are writing when we wrote our essays, and also these are approaches that we advise prospective candidates to also ensure that they have reflected in their essays. So the first one is a STAR approach. So that's the situation, task, S for situation, T for task, A for action, and R for research, results rather, pardon me. So this STAR approach is very, very important because it gives your application a bearing, it gives your essay a bearing. So for instance, for the leadership essay, you're starting off with the story, right? What's your story? You first lay the background of the story, which is your situation. You've identified the problem. This is what the problem is. And then you move on to the task. Now that you've identified the problem, what is the task at hand that needs to be done? You highlight that clearly in the essay. And then from there, you move on to the A part, which is the action part. So what actions have you taken in order to make that task become a reality? And that will now lead to the final point of the STAR approach, which is the results. The results factor, which translates into, okay, this is what you've done, this is where you're coming from, which is the situation, this is what was required, which is the task, this is what you did, which is the action, and then this is what it has translated to, which is the star. That in itself helps you as you're even framing your essays. It gives you a sense of clarity and direction, like, okay, this is where I'm coming from and this is where I'm heading to. And then the second approach, which we all swear by at the Chevening body, is the SMART approach. So this is this is SMART, which is putting your essay in a format that is specific. It has to be well defined, clear. It shouldn't be ambiguous. Like if I'm reading it, I've never met you before, but if I read your essays, I should get a sense of what you're trying to communicate. It should also be measurable. A lot of from past applications, a major highlight was that a lot of people just write, oh, I went to this community and I did this work. And they don't give metrics to the extent to which they did the work. What I mean by this is that it's not measurable. You don't state the number of people that were influenced by that work you did in the community. So this is where the M in the SMART approach comes in. It has to be measurable. It has to be something that you say, oh, 500 people, 1,000. It doesn't have to be a huge number, but let people have a sense of how many people you've impacted so far. It makes your picture clearer. And then it's also part of the SMART approach, which is the 8 parts, which is achievable. Some people in their essays, they write some stories that you would actually read and you're like, did this really happen? Or this person is just trying to, you know. So this is where the achievable part comes in. Please write something realistic. This goes in, this is closely tied to the next part of the SMART approach, which is the R part, which is realistic. You have dreams, you have goals, fine and good. Everybody has dreams and goals. They said there's a saying that when you're reaching for the sun, you land on the star. I can't recall if it's the sun or moon, but you land on the stars at least. So at least that's achievable, that's realistic. So your essay should always reflect that. It shouldn't be something that's so humongous that when someone reads it, it doesn't just make sense and they feel that you're lying instead of saying the truth and saying it in a very captivating way. And then the next part, the last part of the SMART approach, which is the T, stands for timely. So your essays have to be time bound. For instance, in your leadership essay, if you just start off with, oh, growing up, or I went to this community, XYZ, I did this, XYZ, and you don't give specific time frames for which these things happen. You may not have to give like the day, the month, the year, but at least, if worst case scenario, give the year, so that way it puts some reality to your story. It makes people believe that yes, this person actually went to this community to do this at so time, and it's also good for reference purposes, even for you, because when you've done something and someone asks you, oh, you did a community project. Like for me now, if someone asks me, oh, you did a community project, I'm like, yeah. What was your first major community project? I'll say, well, it happened in 2017. Where was the place? In Zamfara. So you can see that I'm speaking to the SMART approach. I've answered the time factor, which is 2017. I've been specific, which is Zamfara. I've also answered the measurable part, which is okay, over 500 girls or young people were impacted. And then also in terms of being achievable and realistic. I mean, it's achievable for you to reach 500 people. But when you're talking about 5,000, 50,000, 500,000, and the story doesn't tally alongside those numbers, it's questionable. So I would say that these are some of the things that people have to consider in their essays. Your essay has to be really aligned with this STAR and the SMART approach. And it should also flow in your other essays, which is the networking essay, particularly in terms of the relationships you've built with people while driving change. You should also be specific. You should also, it's good as possible for you to state how these relationships have translated into measurable outcomes for you and the persons or the networks that you've created in the course of this. And also long term, a lot of people write things that are focused on the past and now, but they don't really like write things that are for the future, and they don't write realistically. So why I'm saying this is for the fact that for the career plan, for instance, some people may write, oh, I want to study a master's in the UK. Fine and good, you want to study a master's in the UK. But after the master's in the UK, what next? What do you plan to do? And then some people might say, oh, they plan to be the executive director of an organization, and in their current role, they are still like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the lowest position or the second lowest position. Like there's an order to things, right? So you have to, it's not like you can't be realistic to shoot for the highest position in an organization, but you also have to put in some realistic terms in there. It shouldn't just be about, oh, you want to aspire to be somewhere to do something, but you have to really take a check on yourself. Where do you want to be? And how does that align with the courses that you intend to apply? If, for instance, you want to study human virology, it makes sense for you to say in your career essay that you want to work in a virology institute afterwards. It doesn't make sense to say, oh, you want to work in the banking sector. It has to align. There has to be some coherence amongst your 4 essays. That's another thing I would state. Make sure that your career plans are also defined in a timely manner. So by this, I mean, you have the 2-year plan or 3-year plan. So for me, for my career essays, I can recall what I did was that I broke the essay into 3 parts. So I had the short-term plans, which span for a period of 1 to 3 years. I had the mid-term plans, which was like about 5 years, there about 5 to 8 years, and then the long-term plans, which are about 10 years. So that's another thing. When you're writing your career essay plan, career essays rather, it shouldn't be, oh, I just want to do this, I just want to be this or that. State a time frame for which you want that to occur. You know, goals have to be measurable. Goals have to be targeted at something. It shouldn't just be vague. Once the assessors see that you have a specific time frame for which you want to achieve something, that also brings in, like, it's a sense of, okay, this person is serious about what he or she or they want to do. And then lastly, in terms of the study in the UK essay, please check up the schools that you want to do specific courses that really get to understand the courses that you want to go into. Because there are times where some people might see a name of the course and it might seem fancy, and they don't do their due diligence to find out what modules or what specifics that course has to offer. And then that's when maybe they eventually get in through the course, and then they start doing the course, and then they begin to see some kind of difficulties that they did not envisage before starting the course, and then that affects their academic performance. So you really need to understand the courses that you want to pursue, and you also have to do your due diligence for the schools that you want to pursue those courses. Don't just pick schools based on ranking, because a lot of times people pick schools based on, oh, this school was ranked first in the world for so course, and it's not always the case. There are some schools that they are ranked lower, but the kind of experiences that you get from those courses, from those schools, are way better than schools that they are ranked at the top. So don't just look at prestige when you're searching for courses, and that should also reflect in your essays as well. Because a major critique is that for studying the UK essays, some people just come in and pack, XYC University. The reason why I chose XYC University is because they are ranked first in the world. That is something that the Chevening assessors can find on the website. They want you to write something that's beyond the website, which is, how does this course tie specifically to your future plans, to your goals, and how is it going to contribute towards you making impacts in the long term. It shouldn't just be about, oh, this school is the best and I want to study there. No, it should be more about, okay, this school has this specific course. Let's say if you're an education professional and you specifically want to study a course that has to do with the development aspect of education, and you've looked up a school that offers courses specifically to that, and they don't just offer courses that have to do with development aspects of education, they specifically narrow it down to development in in developing countries or countries in the global south, like something that is as refined as it can be, that aligns with what you want to do and where you've been, something that you're comfortable with and you also see yourself going through in the long run. Those are the kind of schools that you want to pick, and those are the kind of schools that you want to reflect in your essays. So your essays overall, they have to flow into each other. They shouldn't be, oh, one is at one end and then the other is at the other. Like, you shouldn't write something that is education related on one part, maybe two of the essays, and then the next two parts were saying something having to do with medicine or engineering or one totally different field. There should be a flow amongst the 4 essays, and they should be straight to the point, and they should be properly worded as well. Because another major concern is that even though your essays make sense, grammar could tick a lot of people off. So when you're doing your essays, please ensure you use grammar checking applications like Grammarly. Grammarly is my best friend, to be honest. So please use Grammarly to cross-check, to proofread your essays. If you can get other people to review your essays too, it's always good to have a second eye to look at things, and perhaps they could point to areas where you could be strengthening more. And yeah, I believe with this many points of mine, I hope I've convinced but not confused people listening to me right now on on the essays, what to do, what not to do, and other factors. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow. Like I would say, oh, I'm the scholarship whiz board. I've learned like a couple of things from this conversation, especially from your breakdown of the essays and how to write it and what to look out for. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing that. I believe like everyone here must have also learned something from that breakdown, using the SMART technique and also using the STAR technique as well. If you use both these two approaches, trust me, your essay will be like on the top, like making it concise, straight to the point, and also implementing the STAR approach and the SMART approach. Thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah, for that. Layo, do you have any, or did Sarah cover it all, or do you have anything
I think Sarah covered quite a lot of it. So I mean, I would want to speak about the application process and not even the essays, because I think she's done a wonderful job at it. The only thing maybe with the study in the UK essay, something else that I know that I have seen over the years is people not really understanding why they're choosing the courses they're choosing and the modules that they're going to study, you know. So basically what it is, in addition to what Sarah has said, is you need to identify what your weakness is. Why do you desperately need this course? Because Chevening is also looking at the reason why you want this scholarship. What is the benefits? Why would it benefit you? So they want to see where your weaknesses are, and they would want to see why this course is going to help you to get somewhere, like what Sarah was saying earlier on. So I think, I mean, and then being specific, data is very, very important. So when you back up whatever you're saying with evidence, with data, and sometimes we have panelists that will do Google search, especially when you are talking about something that doesn't sound really achievable, and they're like, is this person for real? And then they go on Google and they search, because some people, quite a lot of their achievements are out there for everybody to see. So once they just type your name, everything comes up, and they're like, oh wow, okay. And then sometimes even at interview stage, that is when those follow-up questions come, because they're like, if this person really understands their experience so well, then they would be able to answer follow-up questions if I go this way or go that way. So those are part of the things that you need to be very certain about when you're writing your essays, because you are writing your essay because you are hopeful that you're going to be shortlisted for interview. And once you're shortlisted for interview, those essays that you have written, you have to soak yourself in them and be able to answer follow-up questions that might come along. So that's about the essays. So in general terms, we'll just talk briefly about the referees. Make sure that whichever references that you're going to use, that you're going to list on your application, are going to be willing to write the letter later. Because sometimes you just think, okay, I'm going to use this name, I'm going to just use this name, and you just put those two names there. But by the time you reach out to them, they're not willing to write on, your leadership potential, your networking, all of those things that they have experienced with you, during your maybe studies or when you've worked with them professionally. So on your references, please make sure that you check before you list them, because we don't usually want to see a different referee after you have updated it on your application form. We want to see that the person that you have listed is the same person that is writing your reference letter. Then for transcripts and credentials, we talked about transcripts. If you don't have them, well, you do have a deadline to submit, but try and see if you can do these at the point of application, because you might not have enough time before the interview to get them ready. So as you are writing your application, be doing those things too on the side. Then working offline. Sometimes working offline can help you to save your data and make sure you paste them into the right essays. So we've had cases in the past whereby one person had written a leadership essay, pasted it in the right box. Then instead of the networking essay that they had written offline, they went and pasted the same leadership essay into the networking box. So sometimes even when you work offline, you have to be very, very careful. And then also make sure you get someone else to read your essays, because you can miss out on something. You might make some errors and you will not be certain that you made those errors, but someone else will see it and say, oh, you missed this here and you missed that there, and then check your grammar. So those are the only additions, but Sarah really did a good job. So that's it from me.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you, Sarah and Layo. I think you have it all. I'm not adding anything to this. I'm not a Chevening scholar. So you've heard from the actual Chevening scholar and also the program officer. I don't like, what else? Just go to the website, read through and start your application. Thank you for those insights. Like for myself as well, I've actually gained like some insights on the application process. So I believe like anybody that is planning to apply for Chevening Scholarship this year would have gained same insights or even more, because you're probably on the lookout than I am. So thank you, Layo and Sarah. So I know we have like just, I think, a few more questions. I will go straight to regarding the November 1 deadline. Would you say that applicants are still on track or probably behind with the applications from your experience?
Someone has been asking about the UK priority areas. We're going to answer your question because it's dropped like 3 times. Yeah, so with regards to the November 1 deadline, honestly, it depends on the individual. So, I mean, I have heard from some scholars, their testimonies. Some of them will say, I just started 1 week to the end and I got the scholarship. And I'm looking at them with my mouth dropped. I'm like, are you for real? They're like, yes. Some people work better under pressure. Some people like to take their time, keep going back to the essay. What did I miss? What didn't I miss? So it depends on the individual. So today is the 15th. That means we have practically 2 weeks to the end. Some people will start now and they would still be shortlisted and they will still get the scholarship. So first of all, it's a matter of time and chance. That is the way I look at this scholarship, because everybody, sometimes when we look at the applications, they're all good. You understand? It's just one small thing that will make one person better than the other. So some people keep asking themselves on the second and third try, what is it that I am not doing right? You are doing the right thing. It's just that maybe you just need to tweak one thing or the other, maybe just work a little bit more on one essay than the other, and just look for a mentor that would be able to check and see where you might have missed it. But honestly, most of the applications that get sent to us as a long list are strong applications. So having to make the difference is just one little thing or the other, or how you convince the panel. So as I was trying to say earlier on, if you feel that you can still apply, go ahead and apply. But if you feel that you're not that kind of person that can do things on short notice, then maybe just wait for another year.
Oh, good. Good to know. All right. Thank you so much for that. So you've heard it all. Wait for another year if you need enough time. Otherwise, just go ahead and apply now, even though it seems like the time is so close, but you can still do it. So Sarah, I don't know if you have Sarah might drop anytime soon. So Sarah, would you say, I know this is also for Layo, but if Sarah can just add some points here, is it a suitable pathway for people who want to relocate? That is Jackma, the Nigerian slang. Sarah, do you have anything to say regarding the Jackma?
I would say no, a big no to that. It's not a suitable means to Japa. I mean, because Chevening states it from the beginning. I mean, when you check the website, it would show you that this is what these people, that the Chevening board want. They are funding your studies to the UK, not just for you to come and study courses required for your development, for your leadership development and professional development as well. But more, it has to do with more of coming back to your home country and making the change that you desire to so change in your country. So in your application essay, you're going to definitely list out in your career plans what you want to do, how do you want to instill a higher measure of change in your country compared to the one that you're already doing, which you would highlight in your leadership essay. So if you're looking at Chevening as a pathway to Japan, to go to that side and never return, it's not going to be, it's not appropriate. And once Chevening identifies that about you, they are not even going to like look at you twice before they consider you for the application. And then another thing is that if you really want to make change in your country, Chevening is more of that scholarship for you to do compared to other. But if you plan to leave, like you want to go abroad and you don't want to return, fine and good. But for Chevening, the mandate is that they are giving you this opportunity to go and build your capacity over there in the UK for you to come back and implement what you've learned while in the UK back in your home country. That's the rule of the game. And for you not to do that, you'll be defaulting at your end. That's going to be a breach of trust and integrity. And in the long term, it's not actually a good thing for the individual. Layo could speak more to that. So yeah, in summary, it's not a good way to Japan because I would say what goes around comes around. If you feel smart that, okay, you go over there after you've gotten it and then you go and hide somewhere when it's time to come back. One way or the other, things unfold and yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I'll hand over to Layo to make her inputs on it as well.
First of all, the terms and conditions requires that all Chevening scholars come back home to their home country, because the whole essence of the scholarship is for you to go, improve yourself, come back and do something better. You want something done in a particular community or wherever it is that you are stating that you're going to be making change, especially in your career plan. Some people have some very rich career plans because they're like, oh, when I come back in 1 year, this is what I'm going to do. In 3 years, this is what I'm going to do. But then in your own mind, you know that this is not what you plan to do. It's almost £36,000 per scholar. And if you change that to Naira now, you know what that means. But the fact remains that the UK is ready to invest this amount of money in you so that you can come and improve Nigeria. I mean, one of the priorities of the UK government now is climate change. You can even see how that is affecting us in Nigeria with the floods and everything. You know, roads breaking into two and all kinds of things happening in Nigeria. It's all a ripple effect. So if you want Nigeria to crumble, then go ahead and do what you want to do. It's a matter of integrity and a matter of choice. We have said we want you to come back home. We are only asking you to come back home for 2 years. After that, you can go back to the UK if you want to, or go to any other country. It's up to you. But it's so unfair for you to take the funds from the UK government, go and get the scholarship, and then decide to stay back. I mean, and apart from that, UK border control is also there to catch you at some point or the other. And I mean, how does that look? The most prestigious scholarship you've gone on, and then you now go there and then you decide to jackpot because everybody else is. And there's so many people that have jackpot and they are struggling and sleeping in libraries and all kinds of things. We're hearing all kinds of stories about people who are struggling, you know, that have gone to the UK. So I mean, it's one of our terms and conditions, and we will appreciate that people come back and make the change in their own country. That's all.
Thank
From
you.
me, really.
I understand how you feel. Absolutely. But one thing I would say, as I don't work with Chevening or any scholarship board, I just like teach people on how to win scholarships based on my own personal experience. I would say if you actually have to come back, come back. and then wait for 2 years. One thing about winning a scholarship or winning a top scholarship like Chevening is that it's already opened ways for you. From the network, the Chevening network, I heard it's so big. Sometimes I'm jealous. I want to be part of that network. If I knew back then, I would have submitted my application. I wouldn't have been dissuaded because of the paper work I had to do. The Chevening network alone, it's huge and it's strong, basically robust. And you're going to network with people in different parts of the world. Eventually, you can decide to. Now, the world has become kind of like a global village where you can even work from your own country and be earning pounds sterling or maybe earning US dollars from your country while you're working with companies abroad. This main way you can get this is actually through the network you've built. When you reach out to someone, oh, I'm working on this project, I know you don't know what that network can do for you. Trust me, don't underestimate what your network can do for you. And the Chevening network, oh my, it's robust. Like it has everything, qualified people, people that are doing so well in life, people that are out there like winning in their various fields. So building this kind of, be part of this network alone, I think I would want to be part of that network just because I know what it would do for me, because I know how to actually use my own network so well. So if you really understand how to make use of your network, I think applying for a scholarship like this, come back for 2 years, you can always go for a PhD, or you can even apply for a job abroad, or you can even get on with maybe a startup company that you started with your classmates back in during your program in the UK. You never can tell. So I would say, look at the bigger picture and not just what you can offer you right away. Look at what the future would offer through the Chevening Scholarship. So yeah, that would be my own. I think the last question for the day, because we're already running out of time, I want to take some questions. And then just the last one to add, if you are thinking of other scholarships, the scholarship we support with that, and then we have like a bundle coming up on Monday that we're actually launching. So if you're not following us on our social media at the Scholarship Wiz, we're on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and also on Instagram, mainly on Instagram, but now trying to make sure as much as possible that we also post across these other social media networks. Follow us at the Scholarship Wiz. I'm there, I'm the lead coach. I'll always be there to respond to questions in DM and all of that. And we have like a bundle launching on Monday with other scholarship essay templates that you can use for, and also like the previous scholarship coaching videos that you can watch to help you with other scholarship applications apart from Chevening. But yes, Chevening is the goal here for today, but we are already thinking of applying for other scholarships while Chevening is also like one of those applications you'll be submitting. Yes, you might want to watch out for this bundle launching on Monday. So yes, that would be, so at the Scholarship Wiz, if you don't, just check us out on Instagram and you'll find us there. And also, so the last question for the day, are there any myths about the Chevening Scholarship that you would like to debunk, Layo? I know there are so many myths about, I know you've kind of covered some. So if there are some that you're yet to cover, it would be great to like
to hear them. So
the
first one is that that Chevening only funds developmental courses. That's definitely not true. I mean, even if you look at some of the courses for some of our scholars that have gone this year, we have sports coaching. Someone has done cyber security, is going to study cyber security, gender and conflict education, law and finance. There's just so much that you can choose from. So it depends on you and it depends on your passion, really. So that's the first one. And then the second one is that only founders and chief executive officers are chosen for Chevening. So people that have the normal 9-to-5 jobs are not selected. That's not true as well. So what we're looking for is people who have passion, who are ambitious, people who have strong academic backgrounds and have a great career. All of these are looked at holistically together. If we're able to see that you're a great influencer or an opinion former, all of those things, you tell it to us in your story and you might just get selected for Chevening. Another myth would be that only if you have a certain accent will you be able to make it, at interview. That's not true at all. you have to be yourself. It is your story that you're telling. It is the passion for change that you have. It is your leadership qualities and the ability to network that we're looking for. It has nothing to do with your accent. If you listen to some of our scholars, you would find that some of them have strong accents depending on where they come from. It has nothing to do with that. And then there's also the myth that only if you know someone in the British High Commission that you would be selected for Chevening. I would say here publicly that a lot of people reach out to me on LinkedIn, on different places, in different places, through the different social media handles that I have, asking if I can review their applications. And I always say, because of fairness and transparency, I don't look at applications. The most I can do is, okay, I might refer you to one scholar or the other, or an alumnus who will be willing to spend time and look at your application. And that is because the process is very fair and transparent. First and foremost, the Global Assessment Committee in the UK go through all of those applications and pick those that are eligible to apply for the scholarship. It is only after that that they will now have two different types of people that will look at your application. There's an academic reviewer, there's a regional reviewer. They look at your applications and then they pick the best ones and send them to us in Nigeria. And that is where we now distribute them amongst our senior leadership. Most of the people here are people who don't know anyone. They are, especially the ones who are UK based. They don't know any Nigerian. What's their own? Give them application, they will read it. Maybe you give them 10, they will choose them based on a scoring guide that we have, so that it's uniform across board. And that is how we do it, just to ensure that everybody has a chance. So that's another myth. And we've talked about the British accent, and that only people from Abuja and Lagos get the award. So probably that has something to do with the promotions. But one thing I know is that we're trying our best to go to different parts of Nigeria. We've been to Kwara this year, we've been to Port Harcourt, we've been to Ogun State, we've been to Enugu, and we still intend to go to, I know we're going to Kano and probably Adamawa towards the end of the year, and then some other states in the south, in the southeast. We just want to try and see how everybody gets a fair chance. And then we are online. We do a lot of webinars, especially since COVID. Everything was online, so it was easier to be able to reach out to a large number of people. So it has nothing to do with whether I'm from Kwara State, whether I'm from Lagos State, or whether I am from Abuja. Everybody, you are from Kogi, Timothy. Nice to see that. Yes, from anywhere in Nigeria, you can apply for the scholarship. It is not only for Lagos and Abuja. And then the other myth is that you cannot get chosen for the award on your first try. There have been different testimonies of people who tried it. I even said some people 1 week to the end, they applied, it was their first time and they got it. So as I said, it's time and chance. Put in your best. If you are not in the pool, how can you be selected? So the best thing is keep trying if you really want this scholarship. But the point is, why do you want the scholarship? Is it because you have passion to make change, or is it just because you want a scholarship? Because that will transcend into your essays. Your passion and your ambition and your need for positive change will be evident from your essays. So sometimes maybe that is why you are not being selected, because you have not really been able to show us what the problem is that you intend to solve. So some of these things are myths that are going around. I think that is it for the myths. I'm thinking that if I can just answer that question on the priority areas, I'll just say them quickly. So far, what we have, and this is not exclusive, there are still other things. My advice will be for anyone who wants to know what the UK government is doing in Nigeria, follow UK in Nigeria on Facebook, on Instagram. Now we're on LinkedIn and also on Twitter. You will be able to see what our priorities are just by following us, because we keep posting all of the things we're involved in on social media. So the major priority areas are mutual prosperity, sustainable agriculture, climate change, economic development. This is recorded so you can listen to it later. Anti-corruption, governance and sustainability, demography and human capital, human rights, security and stability, elections and democracy, especially now that Nigeria is going through an election period, gender equality for women and girls, diaspora and soft power, and also still COVID-19 response. So those are some of our priority areas. But as I keep saying, when we have all these sessions, it's not only UK priority areas that we look at when we are assessing the applications. There are global problems that you can list, or you can link your essays to, and they will still show us that you want to make change in this particular area. So do not limit yourself to the UK Nigeria priorities. It's good if your passion aligns with some of those priorities. Why not? If not, but there are other priorities. I mean, when I was listing the courses, I mentioned sports and coaching. And I mean, think about that. How did somebody read that essay and found it, compelling enough to move it on to the next stage? And then the lady now went on for interview and she was selected. So it depends on your passion as well. I think I'll stop here for that question.
Thank you so much. That was very insightful. I would definitely send out this recording to your email. If you registered for this program, I'll send it out to you. It should be available for the next 3 weeks. So make sure you watch it. Well, by then, Chevening Scholarship itself would have closed. So just make sure you jump on it and you watch it before then. But I would definitely share this recording with everyone that registered for this webinar today, so you can watch it. I know like we've passed like our time bound time frame, but Layo, would you like to take any question? Maybe like a few
Yeah,
questions.
I think we can try up to 3:45, because I can see there are quite a number of questions that have come in. Some have been repeated. Sending my question again. You see, someone has sent, that means that. So let's check and see. Let's see.
Okay, let's see if we can quickly go. Maybe we'll just make it brief. And yeah.
And where
And
is
then if there,
Sarah? So that if there's some that I cannot
Sarah
answer,
left,
she can.
unfortunately.
Oh, she had to go, right? Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
she
so
had to
sorry.
go. Yeah,
No, we
okay.
cannot sponsor a course that is more than 12 months. It is only for 1-year master's program. I've answered that question. I saw it drop.
Okay. Someone said, for someone who has gotten admission for more than one UK universities, how can the Chevening Scholarship come in? I think we've already kind of covered this already. You've covered this. Part of the terms and conditions states that after studying in the UK, the scholarship beneficiary will return back to Nigeria. How true is this? We've covered that
We've
as
answered
well.
that.
If you submit your application to the schools after November 1, does it affect your application?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because we do not expect you to have your admission by that time. You would have started the process. The reason for doing that is that it helps you also to write your study in the UK essay. But then, even if you do not have the admission, at least you have an idea of the course and you have an idea of the university. But you can start the process and follow up after you've submitted your. The only thing I would like to say is that when Chevening says there's a deadline, they mean it. Last year, we had someone who missed the award. She actually, or was it he actually got the award, but he did not get his letter from the university on time. And unfortunately for him, when 16th of July came and passed, he didn't get his unconditional offer until about 3 days later. And Chevening refused to accept his award. I mean, I refused to issue him the award. They rejected him in the end. So that happens actually.
So don't play with the deadlines, basically. Okay, it seems the number of Chevening Scholarship recipients in Nigeria this year is lesser than that of 2021. What could be the causative factor?
Yeah, so it would have to do with some of the priorities of the UK government this year, and the fact that there's been that war in Ukraine. That actually affected the budget all across. So we had quite a number of reserve candidates. I think we had 21, and only one person was taken from Nigeria. In all the other 160 countries, not one of them on the reserve list was called, and upgraded. Unfortunately, this was just because of the funding and the budget that. I'm so sorry that you were on that list and you didn't make it. It just meant that you were strong enough, but unfortunately, the funding was not enough this year. We're hopeful that next year it will be better. So I will encourage you to apply again. Uh, this time around, and don't lose hope. your application was strong enough to have made it to the reserve list. So please don't give up on yourself.
Thank you. So next question, is there need for original degree certificate? Because some of the universities in Nigeria give certificate after 4 years. So can they use like their notification of results to apply?
No, sorry, some questions were popping up and I was reading them as well as when you were, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Can you just read that again?
Is there need for original degree certificate? Because some of the universities in Nigeria give certificate after 4 years.
Yeah, so if you are going to be waiting for after 4 years, then there's a problem. Me, I was talking about transcripts earlier on, that if your university hasn't sent it because of the ASU strike, that's a different thing. But you will still have to send it before March, between March and May. So if you're not able to get that original degree certificate, then you shouldn't bother, because even the university might not accept your application without that. So they will give you a conditional offer, and only till when you get that original certificate will they convert it to an unconditional offer.
Okay. Yeah, so so can they use their notification of results?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. As long as if they're going to be shortlisted for interview, they should have that document.
Original.
Otherwise, yes, they will ask for it at the interview stage. So that you have enough time till then. But after that, unfortunately, they will not accept if you do not have that document.
Thank you. Oh, someone said, please, is it a conditional offer or an unconditional offer from the UK? So for now, I think she already answered unconditional offer works, but between March and June, you need to have a conditional offer. If the master's course is for 2 years, does the Chevening Scholarship still cover? No. Does Chevening cover Oxbridge? Do you know? Is that university? Okay.
Oxford or Oxbridge?
Oxbridge.
You might have to check.
Yeah,
you might have to check. Just check on the course finder and then check for the universities that are there. I know someone actually got Oxford this year, so it's one of the toughest universities to go into, and yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, so someone is asking, please can my referee, my CEO, use the word we instead of I in writing recommendation letter? For example, we recommend Mr. Garba for sponsorship. We believe in his capacity, like talking on behalf of the organization, instead of saying I recommend.
No, so it depends. If it's an individual that is your referee, or it's a company. If it's a company that is writing, then they would say we, because maybe there's like a group of directors or something. It depends on the referee that you choose.
Okay. Next question, please. Is it compulsory my transcript is sent through my school instead of myself? So I think you're actually uploading this on the application website, so you don't need to send it.
They don't send it to the school, no.
Must I gain an admission into a school in UK before application?
No.
Then you must have an unconditional offer.
No, what she's asking is during the application process. You don't have to have admission at that point. Yes, you have up until July of next year, probably around the 16th of July.
So did you hear that? So you can go ahead and submit if you don't have an admission right now. Just work on your application and submit that, and you have till July to actually submit your conditional letter, unconditional letter, sorry, offer. Okay. Hello, I would like to ask a question, however, it's quite broad. Okay, this is not. What if I have paid my initial deposit as requested by the school before the given deadline?
So we advise, no, it has nothing to do with eligibility. What we're saying here is that, look, if you have applied for Chevening Award and you're waiting on Chevening, then let the university know. The university usually will not take any money from you once they hear that you have applied for Chevening. So we always want people not to pay the money, because we will pay it if you get the scholarship. You understand? So there's no point going to make a deposit. What that will mean would be that the university will say that your admission is conditional, but then Chevening Secretariat will not look at it as conditional. They will look at it as unconditional if the only reason for the condition is the finances. I hope that's clear.
Yeah, I hope. Okay, next one. Hello, I would like to ask, will I still get the scholarship after applying, even if there's a possibility I move to the UK around February or March? My fiance is considering we save up for me to apply for masters in the UK, so we don't put all our eggs in one basket. And this is because I was rejected during the last application. I'm really confused if that can work.
So we only run a September cycle. So February wouldn't work. I'm so sorry.
So I think the question is, if they're already in the UK, they apply now, they're in Nigeria, but if they're already in the UK and maybe the person get called for an interview, would they still be eligible? Would they
Also,
still be
yeah,
considered?
sometimes we consider people who are out of the country. We will do a virtual interview for you. And then, I mean, that means you will have to now change your status in the UK. You have to come back home and apply for the visa here and then get the student visa if you are on maybe a dependent visa or something else at the moment. Does that make
Thank you.
sense?
Yes, it does to me, I believe. Yeah, so during my application, my profile was created twice. I don't know how this happened, but would this be a problem for me after submitting my application?
So it's going to be only one out of the two, right, that you would submit because you have to get to the final stage and submit, but you cannot submit two applications. I'm not sure it will even allow you to do that.
Yeah, maybe
But
I
please,
would say, yeah,
can
maybe
that
the
person
person can just
send an
use
email to
to
me?
you. Okay.
Yeah, and then I will follow up with that. But I don't know what the problem is. Why you should have two profiles? You can only submit
Yeah.
one application anyway.
So yeah, you can reach out to me if you need email, or do you have like an official email you would like to share, or should they
It's
reach out
really
to me?
Yeah, they can reach out to you.
Yeah,
It's
reach
really
out to
long.
me. If you ask this question, reach out to me, then I'll share the email with you. Is it wise to answer yes where they ask if I'm applying for another scholarship?
Yes, it's true. Nobody expects you to sit down and only apply for one scholarship. So it is the truth. Yes, I am applying for because how do you know you're going to get it? So throw the bread upon the waters, plenty all around, and see one of them will come back to you. So please
That's
say
true.
yes. So if you are.
Okay, do you have any other form of legal residency? I think this is one of the
This is for
questions.
you, right? The
I
question
believe
is
they
for you.
mean
Oh.
no. I mean they mean something like NIN. Am I right? So I think for the Chevening Scholarship, like while filling the form, they ask if you have any other form of legal residence. So if you're Nigerian and you are living in Nigeria, I would
Oh,
say
I
no.
understand. I understand the question. They're trying to find
Yeah.
because you are not allowed to have dual citizenship. That's why they're asking that question.
Mhm.
And with the UK, you can have dual citizenship with other countries, but not with the UK. So that's what that question is trying to do.
Oh
Because
wow.
the scholarship is only for Nigerians and other countries, but not for people who already are benefiting from the UK government.
Okay, interesting. In the application for gaining admissions, am I permitted to make any payment, or are there universities where you won't have to pay?
So I know that there are some minimal payments, maybe £20, £30. Well, I mean, that's up to you. But when they start asking for large sums of money, that's where we're saying, don't pay it. Write to them and say, look, I have a high chance of getting the Chevening Award. Please note that Chevening will cover this cost if I get the scholarship. And
Okay.
usually once they hear Chevening, some of these universities will just calm down and not stress you for that deposit. So
All
your
right.
your your admission will now be conditional, but as far as Chevening is concerned, it is unconditional. We won't look at it as conditional just because of the financial aspect of it.
Wow, I like that. So Chevening is like, that's a tip, you know. Okay, most of the public health courses have fees for international students that is beyond £20,000. Is it still okay to apply for such?
Yeah, so I told you that the whole
£22,000.
no
Sorry.
that cap is only for MBAs. Every other one, it does not matter. That's why I'm saying that the whole scholarship, everything comes about £36,000 per scholar. But that you should not be worrying about the cost of any of the courses. And that's why we even give you 3 options. We tell you to apply to 3 different universities, so that even when the budget comes and we're working, on the budget, we're trying to see how many people can get in, to the selected cadre. What we do is that we look at the 3 universities and, okay, this university is in London, this one is outside London, this one is cheaper, this one is, it's just flexibility. And so you will now see which of the universities they will choose, but they will try as much as possible to give you your first choice, as long as the funding is there.
Wow, awesome. So maybe we can just take this last question. Please, what happens when you get an admission in a school different from the 3 schools that were submitted in the application?
Okay, so what happens is that if you have a different alternative, by the time you are shortlisted for interview and you come for interview, as I said earlier on, as long as you can convince us why you have chosen this new university instead of the first 3, usually, as maybe is the case, the admission didn't come through for those 3 universities, so you decided to look for one extra one, and you were able to get the admission. If you're able to get the admission, you can provide that at the interview, and we will consider it. We will look at it as long as it is one of the eligible universities or for an eligible course. And then it aligns with your story. It aligns with all of your essays. It's not like totally different. So the whole vision and the whole scope of what you want to do, it's very similar, even in that university and the course you've chosen. Then we will change it. So that's it. You have only up until interviews to be able to make that change. After that, then they will not accept any other university.
Awesome. I think, yeah. So we've covered like most questions and we've gone way above like the time frame for this discussion today. I just want to say thank you so much to Layo and to Sarah for joining us today. Thank you so much. If you can all send thank you to them. And if we didn't cover your question and you want to ask later, send me an email right now to the scholarshipwiz@gmail.com. That is my email address. So just send an email with your questions there, and then if I can respond to them, I'll send it over to Layo, and then if she is able to respond, I'll share it back with you. So I think that will be all for today. She's really tried. And Layo and Sarah, they answered most of our questions. I just want to say thank you for actually responding to this call or joining us in this session to actually answer most of the scholarship application questions and also the myths around the application process. Thank you so much, Layo. It's been great having you here today. Do you have any final message for everyone before we end it for today?
No, just to say thank you too for inviting me here. I always like to attend these sessions because it brings up so many questions, new questions all the time. Different people have different challenges, and so it's always good that we talk about them. And I just want to say to those who didn't make it the first time, as I said earlier on, please do not give up on your dreams. Keep trying, and look at other scholarships apart from Chevening, because obviously it means that you're a strong candidate, especially if you made it to the reserve list. Unfortunately, the funding did not allow us to extend the scholarship to everyone on that reserve list. But honestly, you are all strong, you are all good, and just keep on trying. When it is your time, you will get it. I think that is the best advice I can give. It's just like life. Life has different stages and different challenges, and you always have to work hard and keep on trying to get to where you want to get to. So that's all I would like to say. Good luck to those of you who are applying this time.
Yeah, good luck, and thank you so much
See
for
you at
joining.
interview, Sarah, too. See you at interview.
When you see Layo at the interview, say hi to her. Tell her from the Scholarship Wiz. Thank you everyone
exactly.
for joining. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at the Scholarship Wiz, and also follow UK Nigeria for updates on Chevening application when it's out, and also when the deadline has passed, and also maybe other information you might need about moving to the UK or studying in the UK. So follow the UK Nigeria and follow the scholarship quiz. So yeah, looking forward to see you all. We provide different kind of services, essay review, scholarship coaching, consultation sessions, and also provide personalized scholarship search for those that are so busy. So we actually coach you through the process, but you still have to apply for yourself. But trust me, with the coaching, you'll be able to apply for anything, Chevening, Commonwealth, name it, any other type of scholarship around the world, in the US, in the UK, Australia, Canada, and other countries of choice, maybe in Europe as well. All right, thank you everyone. It's been wonderful having you all here. Thank you so much. And it's been a great and insightful session, I must say. Thank you, Layo. Sarah is out, but thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, and happy weekend as well. Bye.
Happy weekend. Bye, everyone. Bye.